Okay, and we start. So, welcome everyone to this first event for the Social Theory Center at the University of Warwick. And it's a panel discussion on social research for pandemic times. The Social Theory Center is the Department of Sociology's flagship center for those of us involved in social theory. We're a vibrant network of scholars, at least we like to think we are. We have a PhD-led reading group that meets regularly to discuss very exciting material, which may provide us with the research lenses that we need to understand our world, past and present, and hopefully the future as well. As it says on the Social Theory Center web pages, we organize these kinds of events precisely to relate social theory to the context within which we live. So in this spirit, I'm really excited about the event today, which will address social research in pandemic times. And I'm excited to hear our speakers, Dr. Carsten Schubert from Albert Ludwigs University of Freiburg. Hi, Carsten. And Niharika Pandit from the London School of Economics, and Karen Peterson from the University of Warwick. We'll introduce them a bit more properly when they begin to speak. But just a few words from me by way of why these speakers in relation to the subject matter of social research in pandemic times. So when the coronavirus, began to spike early this year, there appeared to be a flurry of social theory-based think pieces, which spoke of the pandemic in relation to different contexts and different regimes. There are pieces, for example, that examine how the pandemic's effects are differential. They affect racialized, gendered, classed, queer, and trans populations in different ways or specific ways. Some have looked at the link between pandemic and climate change, pandemic in the context of occupation or state repression, authoritarianism. And so I think that these conversations or ongoing conversations will not be exhausted for a while. Overall, it seems to be that we cannot disconnect the pandemic from our own ongoing economic, social, and political concerns. And and so it's not only that, but that the pandemic itself allows for further insights into the inequalities wrought by the state capitalism nexus, or state violence through its forms of occupation and authoritarianism. Simultaneously, the pandemic, as Arundhati Roy has said, is a portal. And this is a quote from her. Historically, pandemics have forced humans to break with the past and imagine their world anew. This one is no different. It is a portal, a gateway between one world and the next. We can choose to walk through it, dragging the carcasses of our prejudice and hatred, our avarice, our data banks and dead ideas, our dead rivers and smoky skies behind us, or we can walk through lightly with little luggage to imagine or ready to imagine another world and ready to fight for it. So how we fight, of course, is a matter of lots of thought and discussion and probably very different pathways to thinking about that fight. So our two speakers, Carsten Schubert and Niharika Pandit, have both written think pieces about the pandemic in quite different contexts. Um, Perhaps these contexts are generalizable to a region to a certain extent or not. We'll find out when they speak. So I'm thinking here of the German context and the Indian context. And in this sense, they might provide us with insights that are both different to, but resonant with our experiences in the UK. And this is something that we might think about in relation to the audience discussion. I think both their articles and the pieces that we posted on the Eventbrite page raise interesting social theory based ideas, or they're relevant for social theory in relation to understandings of biopolitics and populism, democracy, concerns about race, gender, or queer issues in the context of authoritarianism, wars, and occupation. In this mix, of course, is our discussant, Karen Pedersen, who will be contributing um, through her own research lens on decolonial movements. So I expect, not just suspect, that there will be lots of food for thought for all of us.